Hey, time to shine today, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I've been waited with bated breath for 45 days to get this amazing woman on the Time to Shine Today podcast. The knowledge nugget she's about to drop on you is going to be like your own free mastermind class that you're not even having to pay for. And who I'm speaking about is my good friend, Lea Woodford. Lea is the CEO of SmartFem Media Group. SmartFem is a digital marketing advertising agency with 2 magazines, 2 TV shows, which air nationally on Roku and Amazon Prime. Some serious credentials here, people. Just listen. She authored Lead, Share, Empower, which is on Amazon. It'll be in the show notes. Make sure you pick that up. Her strategies for success in life and business. So that's her book. She's an international speaker and branding strategist. She and her husband reside in Scottsdale, Arizona. And again, Lea, I am so stoked. Thank you so much for coming on the show. But please introduce yourself to the squad. But first, what is your favorite color and why?
Pink.
Pink. It's perfect for SmartFem, for the feminist.
Pink shows feminine energy, but it also flatters my skin tone, so little transparency.
I think any color is in your color wheel. If you're watching on YouTube here, peeps, she's a very beautiful woman, so well-spoken, yet powerful. She's a fantastic woman. So, Lea, take us to the origins a little bit and work your way up how you came up with SmartFem Media.
I would love to say that it was a brilliant idea that I just had, but that wouldn't be the truth. It actually came from my youngest daughter. It was in 2009. For point of reference, I was a dating and relationship columnist and TV correspondent here in Scottsdale, and she was a freshman at Northern Arizona University. And one of my TV segments on dating came on, and I got the phone call afterwards. Oh my God, Mom, you need to use your influence to educate, inspire, and empower women, right? Because I am married to the education you're providing, but most of the girls that I go to school with have no idea what they want to do, but they can describe every single second of their wedding day.
Wow.
She was embarrassed, but I remember that conversation word for word because it was so powerful, because that is, out of the mouths of babes, nobody will get you in the heart the way your kids do.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
But I knew she was right.
Yeah.
And that's when I made the decision to start SmartFem. I mean, I had cancer, divorce, a husband in a motorcycle accident. So it got a little sidelined till late 2010 before we could launch, but that's really the origin story.
No, I love it. But was there was the aha moment kind of come from your daughter in having the backstory of what you did as a columnist?
Yeah, because I wasn't the columnist forever. I didn't actually hit that until my 40s. I studied broadcasting. And, I never followed that career because I found myself divorced at 23 with 2 little boys, and the starting pay for an anchor is $25,000.
$25,000, right?
Yeah. So there was no way, even though I was awarded child support, I knew I was never going to get it. So I actually found myself in sales, and I worked a lot. I was gone a lot, and my kids remember that. And my daughter does too. This isn't congruent with the way you raised me. You told me a man's not a plant. You're perpetuating that until, television. So really, it was a come to Jesus with her that really kind of brought me to my knees on this.
No, I love that. So what do you think makes a great leader, a great coach, a great strategist? What do you think that encapsulates?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of different things. I think more leadership has really evolved over the years.
Sure.
I think being an accessible leader, and I believe that you lead through inspiration. You lead at the front, not from pushing from the back. I don't believe in micromanagement. I believe that if you believe and you see the very best in your people will rise to meet your view of them.
I love that. I love it. And so if I'm out networking at an event, I'm pressing flesh, even though we're in like day 9,000 of quarantine right now, no one's really doing that. But
Don't do that, Scott.
when we can get back to it, if I'm networking with somebody, what kind of keywords am I listening to that would make them a great prospect, contact, connection, or referral for Lea?
You know what? Just listen to people. You know, that's the biggest problem that I have with networking. Everybody's so busy shoving their cards in there. Actually
But
listen to them.
if I'm listening to
You
them,
know,
what kind of keywords am I listening for to make sure that I'm sending you the right person as a referral?
you know, I work with smart femmes and smart dudes all the time. People that really are looking to create a side hustle. They're wanting to exit their job, or they're small business owners and they want to scale to sell.
You want to level up, right? I love
They
it.
want to level up.
Yeah,
And they don't know how. Sadly, Scott, entrepreneurism isn't taught in school. You
right.
know, I think it's starting to come around, but I can tell you nothing like that was in school when we had
Right.
home ec when I went to school.
So if you, that's true though. You know, it's funny is I was in the first class at Western Michigan University where there's an entrepreneurship course, like not even a major, it was like a minor. And I was in it, and it still doesn't make sense of the curriculum they had. It was still trying to push you into a specialty instead of real true entrepreneurialism. And what you said is so true because there's so many different aspects to it. And I use this, and actually, I haven't even asked permission for this from you yet, but I actually am naming kind of one of my chapters, Get Your Asking Gear, which I got from you, which is, part of, the entrepreneur. They're so ingrained in their business that they don't ask for the right help from the right people. I mean, everybody needs that coach to lead from the front and also be behind them with a foot up their butt to get them going. That you're the perfect person for. I know when we spoken through this time that you're so driven. So saying that, when you bring on a new referral, new prospect, and you're talking to them, how do you help them? Is there a secret sauce that you don't mind sharing with us that helps them find their blind spot?
Sure. I start with their mindset.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, especially people who've been paycheck players, we've got to transition them from paycheck players to entrepreneurs. It's a completely different mindset. When you're an entrepreneur, you don't know especially if you're brand new, you don't know when that next paycheck's coming. So you actually have to create an infrastructure for your business. But I think people overcomplicate it. What's a business? Let's start there. A business is simply a promise that you keep.
True.
It's a promise that you keep, and even sometimes it's painful to keep those promises, but you do even if it's detrimental and if it costs you money, you still keep that promise.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true. And it's funny that, I had the good fortune to be able to speak to the Tony Robbins last week in a roundtable kind of Zoom, and he said that his extraordinary commitment to his commitments is what makes a great entrepreneur, is what you just kind of said. From moving from a paycheck player to an entrepreneur is a huge, huge step, but there's so many more commitments that are in there. And Tony will do these, I'm sure you might have been to one of his events, but he does these things where he puts out so much energy, like crazy energy for 12 hours, but then he still goes and walks around the block here in Palm Beach, when he's done. He stays that commitment because he's made it. It's so small, but like you just said, you stay to the little details that help you level up in every area. And that's a phenomenal way to find the blind spot. That kind of blows my mind. So let me ask you something, Lea. Let's get in our DeLorean with Michael J. Fox or Marty McFly. Let's go back to the 22-year-old Lea, and what kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping on her to help her maybe shorten the learning curve of leveling up in life?
I would tell her to stop looking for other people to validate her, that she's all she needs, and that, just keep going. When the road gets tough and you hit a wall, find a workaround.
Love it. And you do that by getting your asking gear too, right?
Yeah,
Find that
I
out.
do.
Got that. And you're mentioned in the book too. So it's fantastic. I learned that, and I have notes upon notes of the discovery meeting Leah and I had in the beginning of March of this year. It's fantastic. She spent a lot of time with me. So again, thank you for that.
You're
So
welcome.
that's what you know, don't look for others to validate you. That's strong. That's what, even though a lot of times the 22-year-olds aren't going to listen to you anyways, but it's a strong statement to be able to give to them. So
Actually, Scott, I think they are starting to listen.
they're starting
I
to come
think
around, are they?
I think they are because they've been raised by a different generation.
Sure.
You know, I was raised by the boomers, you know, before the boomers,
Right.
that, you know, children were seen and not
Seen and
heard,
not
and we
heard.
didn't
I was
have
just going to say
voice.
that. Yeah. So Lee, you've accomplished so much so far in your life. Is there a big thing that Leah really
Yes,
wants to
yes.
accomplish? Let's hear it.
My goal for SmartFem is to leave a legacy, and I want to see the glass ceiling gone for women in my lifetime.
Love that. Gosh.
And
And
I'm
this,
just going to say, though, that while at one time it was men holding us back, I don't believe that's it anymore. I
right,
believe that we do it to ourselves and we do it to each other. You
right.
know, women, I implore you to send the ladder back down to the next girl coming up.
And you practice what you preach right there. We're saying men so much not are the cause anymore. And
No,
you prove that. The proof's in the pudding with you is like, I'm a part of her SmartFem, group.
you're
You
one of my
allow,
smart dudes.
yeah, you allow people in that are male, that they get it, and there should be no ceiling. I mean, I compete against some of the most ruthless real estate agents that are females down here, and I have the best time with them, because we can kind of relate. We bounce stuff off each other because I don't come at them like I'm some alpha male. I come at them like, hey, this is fun. You kicked my butt today. Thank you very much. And I've made more friends by being that way with females and watching them level up and being happy for their success. That's fantastic. So let me ask you something. What is the one thing people misunderstand about Leah the most?
I think they think, and I've actually had people say this on this, event planners ask me, how are people going to believe that you ever had a struggle? You have lead such a charmed life. And oh my God, that really has been the fun. I think a lot of people really look at where I am now, but they don't look at the humble beginnings or the massive do-over that I ended up having to go through in
Sure.
2011.
Yeah, you shared a lot of deep stuff with me then, and it's just amazing from where you were to where you are. But the journey, you were always progressing. You're always failing forward. That's just amazing to see. And is there any, like when you start bringing people in, whether it's into your company or you're bringing somebody in to coach them, is there any good question that you wish people would ask you but never do?
No, I don't think so. I think
No?
I think people pretty much ask. I'm an open book, and people who know me know they can ask anything.
Sure.
I think transparency is the new currency.
Yeah, I hear you. And with you, the first thing I would probably ask you is like, tell me about a failure. If I'm going to hire,
Oh my God,
I
which
want to know
one?
that. But people are afraid to ask that. They are. There's a lot of people that are afraid. I just wish the clients that I coach would ask that, because I'll come out and ask them, is there anything you want to ask me that you haven't? And then
I
I'm making
usually
the day
share my
for it.
failures because that is part of being an entrepreneur. You got to get used to failing.
Love it.
Have I had fails? Yeah, I've had massive epic fails. But the one thing that you want to do is you want to take action, because you don't see that you're failing if you're sitting on the fence and not making a decision. The
Absolutely.
nice thing about taking action is you can see that it's a course correction. And I don't really call them failures. I call them course corrections.
Force
You know,
corrections?
yeah, because when you take action and you see that you're steering in the wrong direction, you can make that change. But if you are still sitting on this fence and haven't made a decision, my dad used to say this in aviation, is indecision will kill you faster than a bad decision. You can
Absolutely.
you can course correct. But if you're sitting on the fence and you're never making decisions, then that's a decision too. And the
Absolutely.
other thing I'm going to say is I'm going to simplify being an entrepreneur for you. First of all, you got to know who you are, who you serve, how you serve, but you're a problem solver and you're a fast decision maker.
Absolutely.
And if you take action, you can fail fast and you can fail cheap.
You can.
That's my favorite way to fail.
I love that. That's so true. You can fail fast and fail cheap because you haven't really invested too much
Exactly.
at that time.
The longer you wait, the more expensive that course correction is going to be.
Right. That's fantastic. So we're going to move into kind of time to shine today. We, in my clients, my coaching clients, and just people that listen, I always am talking about that dash. In the dash, you have your life date and your death date, and that dash that's in the middle. Okay. So how do you want to be remembered within that dash? Maybe
I want to be a fairy godmother.
Say?
I want to be a fairy godmother.
Got it. I love it.
I want to, and I'm doing this already, but I love it. It's what I love about doing. I work with a team of millennials, and I get to help them make their dreams of going to New York and, you know, getting these big journalism jobs. I love that. I love.
You're such a go-giver.
I love that.
Right. So let's take our cell phone out. Let's take our computer out of all this right now. This question, what are 3 things Lea can't live without?
My husband.
Good answer.
My puppy.
Okay.
And my faith.
And faith. Love
Not
that.
necessarily in that order.
Right. I love it. No, I love that. I love it. So give me your definition of a life well lived.
You know, when you can look back and not really have any regrets. You may have made some mistakes, but they made you who you are. But if you can live looking forward instead of the rear view mirror.
Love
and
that.
You're making people happy.
I love
and
it.
You're making a difference. You're making the world a better place than it was when you got here.
I love that you said that about the rear view mirror. I mean, you know, cars are designed even with huge windshields, but we take a lot of time to look at that little thing, that rear view mirror, you know, and it really doesn't make sense to do that. I mean, it's great to learn some lessons there, but don't live there. Love that you said that. We're going to, as we kind of wind down a little bit, Lea, we're going to move into our leveling up lightning round. There's 5 or 6 questions I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
You and I could talk for 15, 20. You and I could talk for an hour on each one of these questions. But 5 seconds. First thing that comes to your head, no explanation. Just fire it right back to me. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Get a mentor.
Love that. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
I don't compare myself to other people.
Yes. 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 Outside of that fantastic book that's sitting back there in that bookshelf, and of course the great book, the Bible, if that's what you read for faith, name one other book, not the flavor of the week, not the flavor of the month, but the book that if I was in my doldrums, say, Scott, read this.
The Strangest Secret, Earl Nightingale.
Oh, love it. Love Earl Nightingale. It's funny. I'm breaking my own rule right now, but if you look at Tony Robbins, goes back to Jim Rohn, goes back to Earl Nightingale. You know, all the way back to like Marcus Aurelius. So it's like funny. Earl Nightingale was kind of sandwiched there. People forget about him. But amazing. You're so right. Sorry for digressing. What's your most commonly used emoji when you're texting?
A kiss.
Love it. If you could be one age for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I think at this age, I really love my life right now.
You do have a great life, that's for sure. What's your favorite charity and or
Alice Cooper's Solid
that?
Rock. Alice Cooper's Solid Rock.
Love it. Love it. You're a good friend of his. That's fantastic. And lastly, what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh, God. I love them all. I just...
You better say 70s with Alice.
I do love 70s. And I like disco. I'm one of those weird people that, I love the Bee Gees, but, you know, the 70s, you know, I liked when music was happy and it wasn't angry and
True.
you know, I like some rap. I sometimes I think the words are so divisive and
Yeah.
angry.
Right.
And music is supposed to change our state.
Sure.
So I look for happy. So I'm going to say 60s, 70s, 80s, because
There you go.
music can take you, you know, depending on the decade, it can
Right.
take you to wherever you were.
Sure.
It's like mom's
It
homemade
can.
cookies.
It turns on that, what is that, the RAS system in our brains that are just like kind of takes us
It can
back where
take
you,
us right back
yeah,
to that moment
you
in
can
time.
hear it and you can smell stuff that you remember from back then. That's fantastic. Thank you for answering those. Lea, how can we find you?
Go to smartfem.com. Actually hit me up on all the social media platforms.
Got
I'm
it.
on all of them.
And all of her information, folks, will be down in the show notes. And make sure you do pick up her book as well. It's on Amazon.com. Lead, Share, Empower: My Strategies for Success in Life and Business. So, Lea, please leave us with one last knowledge nugget that you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action on.
I would like for you to stop competing and start collaborating. You'll go there faster and farther.
I love that. Stop competing and start collaborating. And that is the essence of Lea here, people. If you picked up some of what I picked up, where she said failures are not really failures, they're actually course corrections. She wants the glass ceiling to disappear, but not by alienating men. Make
I love
the
men.
men, part of it. Don't look for others to validate you. To go from a paycheck player to an entrepreneur, make sure you find that right guidance, that person that's going to lead from the front but kick your butt in the behind when you need it. Always lead from the front if you are a leader, and a good leadership needs to be accessible. And accessible is, I feel privy that I have access to you today, Lea. Thank you so much for coming on. You're so humble, yet you're hungry. You're leveling up your health. You're leveling up your wealth. And you're always shining. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Awesome. Have a great day.
You too.